How's it going, everyone? It's Ethan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Hollywood Racks Destination 4-Bike Platform Bike Rack on the back of our 2022 GMC Sierra 1500. It's just going to be a good entry-level way for you to get up to 4 bikes where you need them to go. This bike rack allows a weight capacity of up to 35 pounds per bike, so nothing crazy, and it will hold on to our bike primarily through these padded clamps that are able to move up and down our center mast, as well as they ratchet and rotate around 360 degrees to accommodate for a couple of different frame styles and sizes. But we definitely recommend that if you have a carbon frame bike, you don't use it with this rack because it will make frame contact and it could potentially damage your frame as you're driving. Additionally, the clamps will allow for a couple alternative frame bikes and maybe even kid bikes to work, but it could be a little bit tricky. And it also holds on to our bike through 2 tire straps down here at the bottom. With this bike rack, you can see our handlebars are getting a little bit close to our tailgate. So if we did have maybe a smaller bike here in the back, there could potentially be some contact there. Additionally, for the case of having one bike on, we have these backup cameras that will probably be able to see mostly through. As you continue to load on bikes, that could become an issue. Another thing about this rack is that it does not offer the ability to tilt away. So this is kind of what we get until we get the bike removed, which we'll go ahead and do now. To get our bike removed, we will start first by the wheel straps. Just undo those gray levers and pull them through. Do the same for the back. Then we can make our way to the center mast here. We want to get our arm around the bike if we can, because once we get it undone, it will start to shift. So, holding onto the bike, we'll feed this out, and then we'll be able to come around, get our bike up and off. As I put this strap back in, secure it, it's a good time to go ahead and point out these cradles. Cradles themselves will support a tire width of up to 3 inches. They don't slide, so you're stuck at the wheelbase. The maximum wheelbase you'll be able to get is 48 inches. But now we can get the center mast out of the way, starting by loosening this hand knob, pulling the latch out, sliding it down. We like to actually use this cradle here to secure it, just by doing the same thing we did with our bike itself and strapping it in. Now, if you're going to live with it in this position, we'll go ahead and demonstrate just how much room we're going to be able to get from our tailgate. So as you can see, as I lower it, it will eventually make contact with either one of the straps, the cradle, or the center mast before it gets fully down. Granted, you can get most of the things that you might need out of the back of your bed, but you definitely can't sit on it or put any weight on it. However, with this position that it's in, it will add a good amount of distance to the back of your vehicle. So we can check out to see just exactly how much that will be. From the back to this back point of the rack itself is about 41.5 inches. So definitely a considerable amount of distance that you're going to be adding to the back of the car. As far as ground clearance goes, it's still pretty high up, sitting at about 21 inches. So with that rise in the shank that you can see, it sits pretty high up. And on a tall vehicle like the Sierra, that's not something I'm concerned about. But if you want to fold the bike rack up to condense a little bit of space, we can do that now. To fold it up, the first thing we need to do is remove this clip. And then we can unthread this hand knob. Once we've loosened our hand knob, we can fold it up. Just watching these pinholes here to see when they'll line up with the holes on the shank. Then you can replace the hand knob, just thread it back in. Make sure that it actually gets through, thread it back in, and then we replace the clip on the other side. And at this point we can get our new measurement to see how much space we've condensed by folding it up. So from the bumper to the back end now, it's about 15 inches, so that condenses things a lot, and it really is going to save you some space. We'll check and see just how much room we're going to be having from our bumper to the closest point. So that'll come in probably at the center mast as it's folded up, about 6 inches. So with that, the anti-rattle bolt does do a pretty good job of getting that shake out, so that distance isn't something I'm worried about either. The shank itself is 2 inches, fit into our 2x2 inch receiver tube, held in place by that anti-rattle bolt that we mentioned. and locked at the end. As you can see, if you were to live with it on the back of your vehicle like this, it covers up a good amount. Your license plate is going to be pretty much fully obstructed. You might be able to see it in a little window here or there. Your backup cameras are right here. And we found that they do a surprisingly good job with pretty much most bike racks, but this one covers a lot of space and you probably won't get a ton of visibility from there. But it is condensed and your taillights should still be fully visible.
This is our test course. Let's start with the slalom. This shows side-to-side action, such as turning corners or evasive maneuvering. Then, onto our alternating speed bumps. This shows twisting action, such as hitting curbs, potholes, road debris, or even uneven pavement.
Overall, I think the Hollywood Rack's Destination 4 Bike Rack is a great, easy, entry-level way to get 4 bikes to where you're going. I think personally, if you're trying to get 4 bikes, a lot of the times that's for families, and you might want to consider a hanging rack style like the Kurt Premium, because it's just a little bit more easygoing and a little easier to work with. It tapers at the end to accommodate those kids' bikes. But overall, I think the Hollywood Rack's Destination 4 is a well-built bike rack, and I think it's a solid fit on our 2022 GMC Sierra 1500.